PathMug is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. PathMug qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add PathMug to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while we keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmug.com. Welcome to today's show. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Joshua Poole, winner of APAC's 2024 Rising Star of the Year Award for Search Awards. How are you doing today, Joshua?
Good, Ernesto. Really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to have you on here with us, Joshua. I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what today's episode is going to be. So, in your own words, can you tell us a little bit more about StudioHawk?
Yeah, sure. So, StudioHawk's an SEO agency based in Melbourne, Sydney, and London that specializes in purely SEO. So we don't do paid search, we don't do social, we don't do email, purely organic search. And really the model of the business is based on three things. So we're, as I said, channel experts specialize in the one channel. We don't have lock-in contracts for any of our clients. It is a month by month service. And then the third thing is we don't have account managers. So a lot of agencies, especially traditional agencies, will have account managers, and those account managers will then work with the technicians to execute whatever needs to be executed. But what we did is remove the account managers and actually have our technicians directly embedded with the client's team themselves. So it feels like they actually have an SEO specialist or an SEO technician part of their internal marketing team. That's kind of basically our model. And we service really anyone from small business to some of the largest companies in the world in any industry.
All right, great. Awesome to hear that. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in, Joshua, and can get a good understanding there of StudioHawk, what would you say is that key problem then that you guys like to solve for clients?
Really, it's actually so simple. Our key problem is that our clients want to get found on search or search engines. And what we do is we support them in all various ways to get found on search, because everyone searches, from the young teenager that's got a phone that's googling whatever, how to make banana bread, to the CEO of Coca-Cola. Everyone is constantly searching online, and even for myself, like I was chatting with someone the other day, and I was like, sure, I work in SEO, so I'm making searches all the time. But outside of my job, I'm probably searching on Google up to 50, maybe even 100 times a day, maybe more. And sometimes even if I'm looking for like a restaurant to go to at night, I might make 10, 15 searches to find that right restaurant just in that one sitting. So it's just the importance that is put on search in the world. It is so massive. So really, that's the problem, is supporting our clients to get found in search.
Definitely important. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So these clients then, is there a certain vertical segment? Is there an ideal ICP that Hawk Search likes to go for?
Really, we have two main ICPs. So we've got business owners and then individuals that work in a marketing department for a company. So we segment out those into two. So the business owner is usually someone that's running a business from, say, $500,000 in revenue to around $3 to $4 million in revenue per year. So they don't generally have a full marketing team at that point. They're still doing a lot themselves, and we'll work sometimes directly with that business owner to help them grow their business or support them to drive traffic to their site. And then the other ideal customer profile is that marketing manager, digital marketing manager, growth manager, e-com manager, kind of role where generally they're working in a business from, say, $5 million up to 100, 200, $500 million in yearly revenue and more. and we'll be working with them directly. Because once a business gets to around $5 million in revenue, generally they have some kind of marketing function going on that is not run by the business owner. And it's quite different. Like presenting our offering to a business owner is very different to a marketing manager, because one of the main reasons is the business owner generally is quite invested in the business. They founded it, they started it, it's their baby. Where when you're presenting your offering to a marketing manager, it's generally not their business. They're getting paid to work there, but they're not so emotionally invested. So it's quite a different workflow and style of connecting to those two different ideal customer profiles. But as I said, we work in any industry. We work in from blockchain to e-commerce to finance to health to really anyone.
All right. And say I was in the e-commerce or finance, how would I usually find out about Studio Hawk? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys, Joshua?
Yeah, so our kind of holistic marketing strategy does cover many areas. And what we've been discussing a lot lately is like, how do people, like what is like their first touch point of Studio Hawk? And it's quite hard to always work out what exactly their first touch point is. But some of the main ways that people initially discover, say in e-commerce, let's say a marketing manager working for an e-commerce brand doing $20 million in revenue. Some of the first main touch points is from, say, SEO. So we rank quite well in search. Obviously, we're an SEO agency, so we've invested resources to get our site ranking. And we rank very well in, say, Australia for e-commerce SEO agency and e-commerce related keywords. So we've had some e-com managers being able to find us through those kind of searches. Another way is we do a lot of events and trade shows. So we do a lot of talks, we sponsor a lot of events, especially we sponsor some really major conferences where there's a lot of e-com managers, marketing managers, retailers that attend these conferences, and that's where they may see us for the first time and see one of our talks on SEO and or meet us at our stand or whatnot. Another way too is some of the PR strategy that we do. We do a lot of creative storytelling, getting features on large publications, getting featured on marketing publications to get our brand out there and get us in front of some of those high ticket retailers and e-commerce merchants. And that's been a great way for us too to get that first touch point, say in a marketing publication that is read by our ICP, and they get to hear about Studio Hawk and hear about what we're doing. And yeah, some of them do actually reach out and begin a conversation.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so that way our listeners who are tuned in could go ahead and visit you. They could always check you out at studiohawk.com.au. What role does a website then play for client acquisition, Joshua?
Our website is, our website and our client's website is vital. Because the way I see it is like, the website is really the home base to your whole digital strategy. Because if you're spending in paid, if you're getting featured in PR publications, if you're doing events and trade shows, if you're doing, running SEO for your site, at the end of the day, users are always going to be funneled to your website, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're running a billboard ad, or a bus, on a bus stop, an ad on a bus stop, users still getting funneled to the exact same place, which is your website. So really, it all starts with website, branding, messaging, and what you're really trying to put out there. We're really big on investing a lot in our website, from a messaging perspective, from a design perspective, and also from a conversion perspective. But for us, really, it's still big on branding and messaging. Conversion is still important, don't get me wrong, but we really want to be communicating to the right audience. We don't want our website to be too salesy. We still want it to have a really personalized approach. And then also the design is really important to us too. So our kind of mascot that we use is a hawk. So obviously we're called Studio Hawk. So the hawk's part of our branding, etc. So really, the website is the home base. So, you know, if you're investing in SEO, if you're investing in PPC, social, whatever it is, the user's still coming to your website. So really the website always comes first, and then all your strategies are actually built off that.
Definitely. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So then on that, I mean, really do want to ask, is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yeah, like, so for like, if a client wants to, well, if a business wants to look at growing their website, say through search, so to drive more traffic and drive more leads to their website, a great tool to start with is SEMrush. So SEMrush.com, probably, you know, top 3 best SEO tools out there. I recommend all business owners and marketing managers to have that tool. It's a great way to see behind the scenes on how your site's performing and how to actually improve the performance of the site through search. Another great tool is obviously, you know, Google Analytics, GA4. Everyone kind of hates GA4 right now, but GA4 is still really important. That way you can see how users are actually engaging with the site. And then also if you set up events and conversion tracking, you can see where users are actually converting and what page are the highest converting pages. And because what a lot of people probably don't realize is, say if they're getting 10,000 users to their site, they actually may have a particular sort of 3, 4, 5 pages that have a really high conversion rate. So it's really important to look at those pages to understand why they're converting so high. And also, say, going back to what I said about the SEO tool, once you say using SEMrush, you're able to see what are your top, say, 5 pages bringing the most traffic to the site, and also what pages actually have low hanging fruit. Say if you've got pages that are ranking position 4 on search, you know, they're great pages to actually optimize, so you can increase ranking, so you can bring more traffic to the site. So really, like, you got SEMrush, which is an SEO tool, and then you got like GA4 and Google Tag Manager to set up with your conversion tracking. Having those 2 tools really helps for understanding what users are doing on your site, but also SEMrush to understand how to bring more users to your site.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much for those tips and tricks, Joshua. And well, let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about you as a leader, Joshua. What are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work there at Studio Hawk?
Key tasks for me, so my role at Studio Hawk is head of growth. So I handle 3 areas of the business: sales, marketing, and partnerships. And it is over a $10 million yearly revenue business. So, you know, we've got the sales front, which is obviously our sales process, you know, our pipeline activity, our, you know, proposal pitch process, our service offering, you know, pricing, etc. And we've got marketing, which is, you know, how do we essentially generate more inbound leads and what initiatives should we do to generate more inbound leads. And then I've got the third area, which is partnerships. And generally that's agency partnerships, because we're a specialized SEO agency. We work with a lot of agencies around Australia and global, because we only offer one service. So a lot of our clients are looking for search, paid search, email, etc. So we refer a lot of work out, and we lean on other agencies to ensure that our clients get the best results. So the tasks that really, if I break down percentage-wise of my role, it's probably around 60% sales, 20 to 30% marketing, and 10% partnerships. And some of the main sort of day-to-day focuses for me is managing the sales team, making sure that our sales process is really tight-knit, overseeing, so we use HubSpot as our CRM, overseeing our HubSpot flow, reviewing our dashboards, pipeline and sales activity, and then scoping out, connecting with potential prospects, scoping out projects, and then presenting tailored offerings to, some of our largest clients, some of our largest businesses in Australia. And some of those businesses that I'll be speaking to are doing, you know, upwards of $100 million a year to $500 million a year to over $1 billion in yearly revenue. And so I'll really lead that charge on that kind of end-to-end sales and onboarding experience for that type of lead or client prospect, and that includes multiple discoveries, workshopping different strategies, creating a tailored strategy and roadmap that suits them and their needs, and then presenting different pricing options and what that 6 to 12 month roadmap looks like. And then if it's all go ahead and everything makes sense, then it's really onboarding into the SEO team so that we can deliver exactly what we've set out to the client. So there's some of my main day-to-day tasks, and then there's different marketing initiatives I do around our website and events and trade shows and our creative strategy and branding and et cetera, et cetera.
All right, interesting. I mean, it sounds like you have a full plate there on your hands. So in the between times, Joshua, how do you stay up to date with all the news, marketing trends out there? Is there a preferred channel that you like to go with?
Yeah, I love LinkedIn. Pretty big on LinkedIn. Some really awesome content in there. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of rubbish content online and a lot of information that is just useless. But LinkedIn, there's some really great content creators pushing out some really high value SEO content, digital marketing content that I really keep in sync with. And then, nothing beats reading a bit online, searching a few things on Google, reading some good articles, and understanding what's going on there. And also another area where I keep up to date is just speaking to people in the community and understand what they're doing and what they're working on. It's really important for me. There's people working on some really cool stuff, and there's some really passionate people in the digital space that just are really going above and beyond, just to really push the boundary of what can be achieved and what kind of results can be achieved for clients. So I really like to stay on the pulse with certain friends and certain colleagues in the industry and understand what they're doing.
Awesome. Great to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing those methods in order to get a little bit more traction in the news and strategy. So thank you so much for sharing that, Joshua. Well, let's jump into our next section here, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them, Joshua?
Yeah, hit me.
All right. First off then, Joshua, what is the last book that you read?
Last book I read, there was actually a book that I recommended to a friend the other day, and some people will know this book, and it's called The Alchemist, and it's been around for, I think, 10, 20 years, and it's by a Brazilian author, and the reason I recommended that book is I was discussing with a friend, what is the meaning to life, et cetera, and really one of the messages in this book is around, this boy travels from Spain, travels across Europe and into the Middle East, etc. And he's looking for this golden chest. He's set out this journey to find this chest of gold. And then when he finally gets to the point where this chest of gold is meant to exist, it doesn't actually, it's not even there. And so he's upset and sad, and he travels all the way back to where his hometown was and where he was initially living. And the chest of gold was actually, and he ends up finding the chest of gold was actually underneath the floorboards of where he lived. And I feel like I really love that metaphor and that symbolism, going life isn't about searching outside yourself to find meaning or find truth or finding purpose. It's actually within, and it's always there, whether it's under your floorboards or under your nose or wherever. It's always internal. It's always right there. It's never about searching outside yourself. So it was a book that I was talking to a friend about the other day.
I love that book. I read it a couple of times. So it's a great book there. Well, Joshua, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
If there were no boundaries in technology, and I know it's a bit cliche, but if there was, if I could see attribution as clear as day on 100% level, and what I mean by that is totally understanding where each of our clients and prospects, what is their entire journey and touch point journey to then come on board at Studio Org, because some of our prospects that do come on board, I bring on a client recently, and he first heard about us 3 years ago at a trade show. And then he saw us again at another event that we sponsored. And then he read an article that was published in a PR publication. And then he ended up coming through SEO. And then I ended up having a conversation with him. And then it took around 3 months, and he ended up coming on board. And so that was like a massive journey for that. And I didn't know that until I actually asked the client how he found us. And he ended up sharing with me that whole journey. Not as clear as I've shared it, but he just shared a couple of things and I pieced some stuff together. And so for me, it'd be really understand that, having such a transparent the attribution where I can understand the entire journey that a lead takes to then get to the point of me being able to have a conversation with them.
I think that's super important, right? That's really interesting. That's an interesting buying journey that you mentioned, right? I mean, that took a while to get there, but it's interesting, right? Something stuck, and that's the beauty of marketing, right? I think when somebody has something in there, it always stays, so they'll go back to it at one point. So awesome to hear that. Next, then, Joshua, is if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
It would be, for me, in the sales process, follow-ups. So I know that you can automate follow-ups, but what the thing about follow-ups is that, if I had like a magic wand, I would love for like an automated follow-up process where every follow-up is personalized, no matter what. And it's so hard to automate that, but having like the most insanely personalized, cool follow-up approach that is constantly targeting and so tailored and personalized to each prospect that we speak with. Whether it's like, say if I'm speaking with an e-commerce client, it's like there's automated follow-ups that's already preset and it's already so tailored where they're already getting like our case studies being shared, our YouTube videos being shared. And it's like so tailored to the client. It's so hard to have, such a personalized automated approach. Like you can only automate so far. So that would be cool if I had a magic wand and it was like every single follow-up was completely automated and tailored to that individual lead every time.
That would be really nice. I think somebody's got to be trying. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there trying, right? But hopefully somebody will perfect it at one point.
Yeah.
Awesome. And well, then lastly, Joshua, I mean, you have a lot of experience already in the marketing world, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
I'll talk about two things. I'll talk about something as a marketing, on the marketing side, and I'll talk about something on the sales side. So for me, I'll start with the marketing side. It's not about doing a million things at once or trying to come up with a million ideas. It's really not about that in marketing. What it's about working out solid approaches that suit, say, our agency or whoever, that have a material impact. And some of those solid approaches may only be for a year. They only might be 5 things. But those 5 things actually have a material impact on the business. And so, because it's easy, like you can do so much research online, you can read so much content, you can see all these cool ideas that so many people are doing, and it's really cool. But you can get like, if things aren't actually being executed, and then if those things aren't being reviewed to understand how much of a material impact they're having on business growth, then there's no point having all those great ideas. And so that's something that, for me, like that I've learned a lot in sort of recent times is it's actually about consistency with the right ideas. It's not about having, as I said, 20 different things to do. It might only be 3, but those 3 actually have a significant material impact. And then as long as we're consistent on those things and expanding on those things and improving on those things, then it's getting better and better and it's actually supporting the business to grow. I'm really big, for me as a marketer, I'm really big on execution. I used to be like really big on ideas, but then I realized it's actually really easy to have ideas. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but there's so many ideas out there and you can take so much inspiration from so many people and there's an endless amount of ideas. But what's really the most important part to me is the execution and what material impact that's actually having on the business. And if it's not having a material impact, then it needs to be scrapped as soon as possible. The other thing for me from a sales front is sales is about, it's not actually about selling. It's about building relationship. If someone's reaching out and having a conversation with me, they already want our service. They already want our service. I don't have to sell them on our service. They already want it. So what I find now more than ever, it's actually about sitting back and really not really speaking that much to a prospect. It's actually about listening to the prospect. I had a quote a long time ago, and it was about the one that's controlling the conversation is the one that's asking the questions. And I really like that. Really stuck with me during my sales process. And it's not about controlling the conversation. It's just about allowing the client to the prospect to really speak and to really feel understood and heard. So to be honest, during a lot of my sales process these days, I actually ask so much more questions than actually speak. And sometimes in my discovery calls or in my sales process, the client might speak 70, 80% of the time. I'm only speaking 10, 20% of the time. And like for me, it's like sometimes what I find is the less I speak, the higher my chance of conversion, which is just goes against so much of like what like we think that things should be. Oh, I've got to say all the right things. I've got to do all the right things. But, people already, they want to buy, but they want to buy from the people they like. And people generally like people when that person feels understood, they feel heard, and they feel met. And so that is a big focus in my sales process. They're kind of like the two things that that I've learned or since doing what I do. That's that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Joshua. Hey, well, Joshua, we're coming to the end of our show here. So I do want to appreciate you being on with us today. I also want to thank our listeners for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next episode at PathMonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Joshua.
Thanks, Ernesto. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.